On Running has two fantastic shoes in their lineup, the Cloudsurfer and the Cloudmonster. But they're very different and they will not serve the same purposes for all of you. Let's find out which one is the right for your needs. Hey everyone and welcome back on the channel. My name is Alex and in today's video we are comparing the On Cloudsurfer released this year in March and a shoe that released last year but that is still available, and new colorways are releasing very often, and that is the On Cloudmonster that I have right here. As you can see, this shoe I use really a lot. It's the original colorway, the original Monster that I got in February 2022. And this is used a bit less because it's more recent. These two shoes were sent to us by On, and you can find them on Top for Running, on Running Warehouse. The links are in the description. It helps the channel, so thanks for using them. Let's go directly into the specs and the weight. We're looking at 261 grams in this shoe, the On Cloudsurfer, 306 grams in this Cloudmonster. Both are US size 11, EU 45, that is my size. Funny enough, the Monster runs a bit lighter than the number may suggest, and it feels almost as lightweight as the Surfer when running. We'll come back to the why in the ride section and in how I use the shoes. Really, the Monster feels a bit lighter and rides a bit lighter than the number may suggest. Stack height, we're looking at 29 millimeters in the heel for the Monster, 31 for the Surfer, so a bit more stack in the Surfer, 10 millimeters drop in the Surfer versus 6 millimeters drop here in the Monster, 23 in the forefoot, 21 in the forefoot. So quite a difference between the two shoes here again. 6 millimeters on the Monster, they feel a bit less. They feel more like 2, 3, 4 millimeters, which you really will enjoy if you're that midfoot forefoot striker with quite some strength in your quads. You hit a bit more here in the forefoot, or at least you have less of a rocker and less of a drop in this shoe. The Surfer feels really rockered, but given how soft it is, the midsole, when you compress the heel, you may reduce that drop also mechanically. Something to take into account depending on how you run and what are your preferences here. One main difference, and you will note it right away, maybe even on the thumbnail if you're not familiar with the shoes, the clouds in these two shoes. So basically, if you don't know, On Running, they call these things the clouds, and that's one of their key technologies. From day one, the founder, Olivier Bernard, was in his garden playing with like some hoses, and he decided to cut them in two and put them together to make a shoe. And that's how the clouds existed. This is Cloud Tech. This is the previous generation of clouds. As you can see, they're all horizontally aligned, whereas here you have Cloud Tech Phase. You can go check the review of the On Cloudsurfer to understand a bit better what Cloud Tech Phase is. But essentially, it is the new version of clouds designed with computer science, AI, to help and make the clouds more efficient for your foot strike, your gait cycle, and so on. The clouds here are supposed to collapse like dominoes, whereas here they're just supposed to compress and give back energy when decompressing. That's the main difference here in the specs. Let's go directly into the ride of the shoes. Let's skip the upper part. We'll come back to it in the point section. Ride of the shoe, something way more smooth, way more buttery, way more heel striking friendly, something that is more modern, considering that many shoes now, or many people, are looking for a bit softer midsoles, softer rides, more forgiving rides. This is it. This is something a bit more modern, a bit more friendly for many runners, and I believe that the Surfer will work for more people than the Monster, which is a bit firmer, a bit more aggressive, requires a bit more power in the legs. It is still on the softer side of things, considering the whole On Running lineup and history of shoes, which were most of them very firm in the past. This is still softer than what On was doing a few years ago. So if you're coming from there, this is softer, but this is even softer compared to the Monster. Probably a bit more midfoot and forefoot striking friendly here for the Monster. And overall also something that works a bit better until endurance pace. Whereas the Monster, you can take it to interval pace and it will still deliver. I cannot use the Surfer past endurance pace. That's mostly because it becomes too mushy, too plush past that pace. Around 4:30 minutes per kilometer, 7:45 per mile. That's the limit for me with this shoe. I can take the Monster for higher paces and put more force into it because it compresses a bit more with higher paces without bottoming out and without feeling too plush. So that's how I'm using the two shoes. Coming back to the upper of the Monster is way more simple, way more breathable and less structured, less material there is in this upper. The lacing pattern may seem awkward, but it works quite well. And overall, it has my preference over the Surfer upper, which is a bit thicker, gives quite some warm feeling to your feet. And overall, I think it's, a bit too much. The tongue is more padded. It's a very comfortable upper, don't get me wrong, but it's a bit too much for my liking and a bit too much material for how breathable I like my shoes to be. Outsole in the two shoes. Honestly, the durability of the outsole isn't the best with on-running shoes. As you can see here in my Monster, which has more than 650 kilometers, there is quite some wear in different parts of the outsole. I took the shoes on the trails, I took the shoes for many different adventures, and it definitely, also shows a bit of that. But I would expect to have a bit of a longer lifespan from a shoe like the Monster, which could be an all-around type of shoe for many people. I think, to be honest, the issue will be the same with this shoe, with the Surfer, mostly because the coverage is non-existent in lots of the outsole. Some parts are a bit more covered, and it seems like a bit of a thicker grip on the forefoot and heel. But I don't think this shoe will have a crazy durability from an outsole perspective, at least. Price point of the two shoes, we're looking at $170 for the Surfer, $180 for the Monster. Slightly more expensive for the Monster. I would be happy to buy it even with that price difference because of how more versatile it is compared to the Surfer. The Surfer is not my type of shoe, if I'm being honest. For recovery paces, it's fine, but beyond that, I feel like it's taking too much energy out of me, and I wouldn't pay the $170 price tag for something that is too limited for me. That being said, again, I believe that the Surfer will work for more people than the Monster would. So I encourage you to try the two shoes because they're probably the best On has at the moment in their lineup. I hope you enjoyed this comparison. I'm gonna put the Cloudsurfer review right here on the screen right now, so you can go check it out. Lots of information about CloudTech Phase. Enjoy your run today, enjoy your ride, and go beyond your limits. I'll see you in the next one.